I think 22 companies that own over 1,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. It's a growing set. 2 new ones just entered. Fold, which went public recently, and BitDeer just entered.
Are you doing the same at Bitwise?
We're a private company, so we've toyed with the idea of talking about it. We own Bitcoin, yes. And there are a lot of private companies that own Bitcoin.
You said the people who run these companies own Bitcoin. How much of your liquid net worth is in Bitcoin? You mentioned companies. So let's talk about corporates. You tweeted, people want to save in Bitcoin instead of cash. Increasingly, corporations do too. They have $5 trillion in cash. What's happening on the corporate side?
This is so this space, Kevin, just like always finds new ways to captivate all of us, I think. And almost every year there's some new phenomenon that you see and you didn't maybe anticipate, but you feel, wow, that makes sense. So there, corporations are, entities that have rights like people do, and they're entities that want to survive like people do, and they're entities that generate income and then want to transport that income over time like people do. And they have $5 trillion in cash and treasuries. And over the last 4 or 5 years in the US, the value of that cash has dropped 25%. And they're not happy about that in the same way that people are not happy about that. And I think that Michael Saylor has really paved a road to open up the possibility for corporations to consider what people have already considered in mass, which is that the price I pay for saving in Bitcoin is higher volatility, higher uncertainty, what it'll be worth next week. But the reward I get for that is that over a long period of time, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, instead of the story being that my cash lost 25% of its value, the story will be that my value increased, my purchasing power increased. And so I'm willing to accept that short-term volatility for the benefit of transporting these savings and that value over time in a much better way. And so that's resonating with companies. Now there's over 70 companies that own Bitcoin on their balance sheet. I think just recently GameStop announced that they would be buying it on their balance sheet. We launched an ETF. The ticker for that is OWN-B, as in Own Bitcoin. That is and I think you're going to see more and more companies realizing, as people have a long time ago, that the size may vary, but that it makes sense to trade, accept some volatility for the durability that Bitcoin provides in transporting their balance sheets and savings over time. So I think that this trend is just getting started and has a lot of legs.
Are you doing the same at Bitwise? When Chiefs happens, those two.
Yes, there you go. Yeah,
Of course, have to.
So it's not surprising, right? So
It makes some
there you go.
sense.
The people who run the companies own Bitcoin. They do that because the dollar loses value. Guess what? At some point, they have the thought that maybe the company, instead of bleeding the value, should also consider that approach. And I think that the hard thing always is, how do you make it acceptable? And I think that MicroStrategy Strategy has made it acceptable, and so you're seeing more and more companies doing it. I have illiquid angel investments, so well, I guess that's illiquid. I don't know. I mean, it's north of 30%.
The people want Bitcoin. The corporations want Bitcoin. What about the USA and the government? What's happening in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, I mean, we've spent time in D.C. recently, and I think that the public is actually following along pretty closely. One of the things I said to one of the senators was, keep communicating, because people are now following this storyline. And if you don't keep communicating, they'll start to imagine all sorts of things. But I think in DC, they think that they're going to get it done so already there's a strategic Bitcoin reserve that was funded with the assets already held by the US government. And then there's an aspiration from lawmakers to build that reserve. And they think that they're going to get it done. And I think that they're going to get it done. And I think that's really exciting. It's, the US has acquired things in the past, assets they thought would be worth owning. And it's pretty rare. And that's why I think it's remarkable that there's not many investment opportunities in the last 50 years that the U.S. government has said, this is worth us owning.
What's an example
of other things that they've owned in the past? Well, certainly gold, oil. They have bought many of the states that are now part of America. And so the fact that in 2025, there's, that's a short list. There are things that the U.S. government has said they want to own before, is the point I'm making, but it's a short list. And so the fact that Bitcoin is now on that list, I think is really remarkable, and everyone has access to it. So, but anyways, I think that there's a lot of motivation, there's a lot of understanding, a lot of enthusiasm, and there's bipartisan support around it. I think it's one of the few bipartisan topics, actually, is do we want to put America in a position of advantage and the American people in a position of advantage around innovation? So I'm very optimistic about it.